What's going on?
Good to see you. You shaved.
I know. See? That's how professional I am.
I feel like you're finally getting your life in order. That's good to see. Daniel Petre, thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning. I was thinking back, I first met you, I don't know, like 10 years ago, I think, and it was very brief at that time. And
Yes.
When I got back in touch many years later, saying that I needed your help on something, you were just there. Like, you didn't hesitate. You've been so generous with your time and your support, which you didn't have to be. You're one of Australia's OG and leading venture capitalists. You were the first non-American VP, I believe, at Microsoft in the early 90s, and since run a bunch of successful internet ventures. You are such a good human. You swear like a trooper, and I'm so excited to have you as part of Humans of LinkedIn.
Thanks, Sophie. Really glad to be here. Very kind.
You're stepping away from the day-to-day operations of Airtree, which is the fund that you co-founded. Why?
So I started up Petre 6 years ago, and I was at a point where I'd had two previous funds which were very successful, and I was sort of 56 at the time and thought, well, what do I want to do? And I thought I wanted to start up something that was a legacy fund, a fund that could continue on well beyond me and really be a contributor to the Australian ecosystem, and maybe even be one of the great venture capital firms of the world. And so we started off Airtree with $60 million of our first fund. Fast forward now, we're managing about 1.3 billion under management. We're about to raise another fund, which will probably be between $500 and $600 million. So, and we're now 28 people going to 32. And so I thought, I've seen a lot of venture capital firms started up by founders, and then they group on for grim death because they just need more money and more ego and more recognition. And I guess I'm the antithesis of that. I wanted to start up a fund that became a legacy sustainable fund, wanted to bring young people through and help them grow and be a positive contributor. And then once I've done that, I think I'll let them do it. And, if I step away, there's more carry or more equity for other people in the fund. There's more money for other people in the fund. There's more roles for other people in the fund. So I think it allows other people to grow, and it's the right time to do that.
I just think that's so rare. You so rarely hear the words like, I have enough.
Well, look, I think there's a few threads to this. I think, you can get caught up, if you think about that sort of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you can get caught up in always trying to get more and more. And the real thing is you're trying to really strive for some sense of happiness and fulfillment. That's what you're really striving for. And there are these proxies for that along the way. You think money or a great house or a great car or whatever it is. And then life smacks you in the face, as you've had tragedies in your life and I had with the death of my sister, and you realize, wow, life is actually really short. And we're all on this precipice of about to have a really bad day. Something could happen and make it bad. And so this sense of striving for more and more and more when you've got clearly enough to live a comfortable life just seems weird to me. I don't understand it.
You and I have the unenviable life experience in common of having lost an immediate family member. I lost my mom in a boating accident about 5 years ago, almost exactly 5 years ago, actually. And you lost your sister in a car accident, as you mentioned, almost 30 years ago. You asked me recently how that experience changed me, and I kind of floundered at the question. I think it didn't change me, but it definitely revealed like the deepest parts of me. I got to see my metal, like what I'm really made of, and I think it did make me realize that I have to live life on her behalf. Hers was cut short. And so the choices that I've made in my life and the life that I've created for myself since that accident, I'm really proud of it. And as you put it, that's her DNA, that's her nature in me, which is such, I've thought about that heap since you said that. That's the nicest way to feel close to her, is just like living life on her behalf as she'd have lived it. How do you think it changed you?
So my sister, I only had one sibling. My sister, she was 2 years older. We grew up in a family our parents were good people, but they just didn't get on for like well before I think we even arrived. So it was a pretty unhappy family environment. And she, I reacted by just not being home ever. I would be out playing with my friends from, dawn until dark. So I just never, and her reaction was she developed anorexia. She was a very homebody and went through a lot of mental health issues, but she was the most caring and kind and good person that you could imagine. I remember when I wanted to buy my first car, I was talking to her about it, and she gave me her last cent out of her bank account to help me buy my car, which was, I didn't know at the time, by the way. I found that out subsequently, but she's just that sort of person. She's never thought about herself. And so, I've reflected a lot that, if whatever God you believe in, take someone like her or maybe like your mum, take them away, then, all bets are off. And so I thought to myself, in a sense, a bit like you, I thought, well, I want her to be proud of me. I want her to, in whatever form there is of her, I want to know that I've lived a life that she'd be proud of. We stand on the shoulders of all this luck, gene pool and opportunity and where we were born and health systems in the country, all this stuff. And so to pretend that any success we've got is purely our individual brilliance and effort is just bullshit. Of course it takes some hard work, but neither of us or any of the people you would meet in your Humans of LinkedIn have worked any harder than some construction worker working on a house in Seattle, or a school teacher, or a nurse, or a firefighter, or a plumber. They're all working super hard. They've just had a different set of opportunities and skills with which to work with. So the accumulation of money as a metric of a good human is ridiculous.
By the way, we're going in reverse chronological order.
Yeah.
Which was not deliberate, but here we are. You grew up in Turramurra, and yes. I know from our discussions that experience also influenced the way that you do business and who you choose to work with. Can you tell us a little bit about how your childhood experiences informed who you are today and in business?
It was very white Anglo-Saxon, and I came from an ethnic background, and not a ethnic background with a large diaspora of people. My parents were Romanian, came after the war. They went through internment camps. They arrived here with no friends, no family, no nothing. So we weren't the big Italian group or the big Greek group. We were these two random Romanians with then two children. I went to a high school, a great high school, Turramurra High, which is a great high school. But I was, I think, the only WOG, which is in term of endearment, I guess, in Australia, which means you're ethnic, within miles, within kilometres. And so I felt an outsider. I was reminded on a daily basis by friends who thought they were joking, but it was really hurtful, that I was different. I was a WOG. I was different. So there was that aspect, and no kid wants to be different. I mean, kids want to belong, right? You want to have a sense of belonging. So my home was very close to our school, and I'd walk home, and literally every afternoon for probably 2 or 3 years, I would be bullied, and not bashed to the point of, lots of blood and guts, but pushed over, school bag ripped open, things thrown everywhere, punched a bit, kicked a bit. And that would happen literally most afternoons. And I can remember, probably as a 14-year-old or 15-year-old, getting to my front door and having a hand shaking. So I'm trying to get the key in the front door to get the door open to get inside. And then, getting dragged back from the front door by one of the local bullies. And it wasn't like, some US gang trying to, they thought they were having fun at my expense, but it was deeply scarring. I had no one to talk to about it. My sister was there, so she tried to console me after it happened. But I developed this complete intolerance of bullying in any form, because knowing how scarring it can be, whether it's physical or verbal. And so I have zero tolerance for any form of bullying, and I see it a lot in the workplace.
This is a side question, but I'm interested. Do you look at things like culture and those types of attributes in the companies that you invest in?
Yes. There's a version of football here called AFL, Australian Rules Football. And it's basically, it's a weird game for Americans to watch, but it's basically you kick a ball high in the air, someone else catches it, and they kick it somewhere else, and you go up and down the field until you kick it through some goals. It's,
Best sport in the world.
well, I would think that the true football, which is the soccer you would call it, but is the true. But we can hold that for another time.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was a coach, a very famous coach of the Sydney Swans, which was the Sydney Swans is a Sydney-based team, and he had this policy, which is a no dickhead policy. That no matter how fantastic a footballer you could be, if you're a dickhead, you had to leave the club. And I love that. And so I have a no dickhead policy. As much as I can, I've tried not to work with any dickheads. I will not invest in dickheads. Absolutely. But, you know, there's no way I will put money into a company where I don't care how successful they may be financially, if I think the founders are developing a culture which is an antithesis to how I think you should live your life. I don't care. There are enough good founders out there where we can make a great return for our investors. We do not need to help propagate the culture of some sociopath. So no.
What's your current state of mind?
Sad.
Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that.
Well, did you want the truth? Sad. Why am I sad? I'm sad because
I didn't know if I should ask or not.
No, well, it's more a meta issue. It's the state of vaccine rollout in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Our government screwed up brilliantly and didn't order enough vaccines for enough supplies, and now tries to not pretend they didn't do that. And then watching the anti-vaxxers around the world trying to undermine the only hope we have to get this under control. To watch people out there talking about how vaccines aren't real and COVID isn't real, and just blows my mind. First, the lack of science and logic and all, but just the lack of humanity. So I'm a bit sad about all of that.
Okay, that was the wrong question to ask. I realized that. Okay, second question. I have a feeling that I know the answer to this one, but I want to ask it anyway. Who has had the greatest influence on you in business?
Bill Gates.
Typical breakfast?
Nothing.
Oh, you're a faster.
I'm a 16-hour thing. So coffee, black coffee.
What is your personal motto?
Do as much good as you can while you're on this earth.
I like that. And the final question, is there anyone who you'd like to say thank you to who has helped you in your career other than Bill Gates?
No. I think I lacked a good business mentors for my whole early career. And I was looking for someone to believe in, and I didn't find anyone until I met Bill. And that sounds ridiculous, right? Oh, well, of course, Bill Gates, but I didn't see him in that context. I just saw him as someone I learned so much from, and who I built such a really good friendship with over those years. So yeah, I think there's one other younger person now who I am in reverse learning from, Scott Farquhar, who is a co-founder at Atlassian, who is an extraordinary younger man. He's in his 40s, and I think I'm going to learn a lot from him. I hope this has been useful, so.
I hope it's been fun for you. Like I said, definitely the easiest meeting for your day. So
thank you. Yeah, it's great. Cheers.